So, I got some feedback on yesterday's video. It was kind of a long video. It was a little over 18 minutes long, Alice's Restaurant length. If you never heard the song Alice's Restaurant, it's kind of a Thanksgiving tradition around these parts. It's a long song. It's kind of amusing. You should hear it at least once. Jeez. I'm sorting through Tempest today because I wanted to do Tempest today. I got a request for, I believe it was Time Spiral. I'll make that a priority after Tempest. Tempest is going to take up today and probably tomorrow. That's the rest of the unsorted Tempest. I emptied out this box, pulled some stuff out of here, and I'm in the process of getting it sorted up. I'm probably not going to finish it today. You never know, I might finish it sometime like late tonight or something. Stuff happens. Anyways, I got some criticism yesterday because I didn't really show any cards, despite the fact that I, rambled for almost 20 minutes. And I can understand being disappointed by that. I mean, people do want to see the cards and not necessarily listen to me ramble like an idiot. That's alright. One thing that was pointed out to me by a fellow by the name of, if I recall it correctly, JBH Mage. Where the heck he got that name from, I have no idea. But whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter because he pointed out that I was brain farting and saying delve instead of dredge while talking about the Golgari guild mechanic in Ravnica. And, I brain farted. That's really what it comes down to. I brain farted hardcore on that one. Which is funny because I had just finished sorting through the cards when I made the video, so it should have been pretty fresh in my mind. But, what can I say? I mean, they're two very similar sounding mechanics. Both have to do with the graveyard. I screwed up. It happens. I try to, when I catch it, or when someone else catches it, I try to mention it. But JBH said that he was literally yelling at the top of his lungs while watching it on his computer. And I'm like, do you know what the word literally means? I mean, no offense, but that is a word a lot of people misuse. Literally means interpret the words as I say them. So if you're literally yelling at the top of your lungs at your computer while watching the video, it means your neighbors can hear you. I want you to stop and think about that. My neighbors? We have nice walls in this building. I can't hear when my neighbors blare the stereo unless I step out into the hallway to go downstairs. There have been a handful of times when I could hear them arguing, not often. And I've never heard them doing the nasty either. So, and I'm up at all sorts of crazy hours. So we'll take from that what you will. But, yeah, man, if you're literally yelling at the top of your lungs at the computer, I don't know what to tell you, man. Seriously. Either you have pathetic lungs and no one could hear you, or you sounded more psychotic than I ever have. Chill out, man. Seriously. I mean, appreciate that you watch the videos. I really do, but chill. So anyways, I want to talk about some cards. Because he did have some valid criticisms. I'm not going to say he didn't, you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here. I'm not trying to, poop on his parade and everything. I'm just saying, dude, calm down. I'm not upset that you got upset, but perspective, man. Perspective. Speaking of perspective, Death Pits of Wrath. Fun little card, 3 colors, double black, enchantment. It effectively gives all damage sources Death Touch. Effectively. It's a triggered ability, which means it functions like pre-M10 Death Touch. That's pretty interesting. I always wanted to build a deck around that and Eater of the Dead, and something to give the Eater of the Dead the ability to ping enemies. Eater of the Dead has the ability to remove creatures in graveyard from game to untap himself. So the idea is you give him like you enchant him with Fire Whip, or you equip him with a Viridian Longbow, anything that gives him the ability to tap to deal damage, and have Death Pits of Wrath on the board, and it's just like blop, blop, turn him sideways, 1 damage to that, goes to graveyard, remove it from the game, untap Eater of the Dead, do it again. You can wipe a field like that. It's fun stuff. But, I never got the cards to do it. I only own 1 Eater of the Dead. No one puts them in trade binders because it's such an obscure card. It's from the dark. And, these things have Coffin Queen. I used to abuse her a lot, too. She was a fun card. Oh, look, there's another one. I got 2 Coffin Queens. And you probably got none. Unless you've been playing for a ridiculous amount of time like I have. Coffin Queen's a fun little card. 2 colors and a black for a 1/1. May choose not to untap her. 2 colors and a black and tap her. Put a target creature from any graveyard into play under your control. Exile that creature if Coffin Queen becomes untapped, or you lose control of Coffin Queen. Honestly, after sifting through Odyssey block, I have been getting the hankering to make a graveyard recursion deck, and there are just so many options I could use for that, But, or heaven forbid it, I would not be the least bit averse to getting my hands on Jin, whatever the heck his name is, the 8-colorless double blue guy from New Phyrexia. That says during your at the beginning of your end step, draw 7 cards. Your opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 7. That guy, I would love to put him in graveyard recursion. Yeah, I'll pitch him really early for something stupid, and then later I'll animate him. Hi, how you doing? That, of course, the crazy part is right now there are a couple of ways in standard right now. Well, once New Phyrexia comes online, there are a couple of ways to so that you can use him. There are a couple of ways to get him out on turn 5. Yeah, playing a 10-drop on turn 5 because Jin has Flash. So there's a Bear Umbra and Sword of Feast and Famine, either of which will untap all of your lands. Conditionally, Bear Umbra is if the creature attacks, and Sword is if the equipped creature deals damage. So, yeah, I got 5 lands. Bam! Triggered ability goes on the stack. I tap my 5 lands. Triggered ability resolves. I untap the 5 lands. I tap them again. I flash Jin in. People are going to be cheating him in on... I don't know if I can say if that cheats the proper word. People are going to be dropping him in on turn 5 like a balls. Down the Embrace, that's a fun card I tried to abuse a couple of times. Never really worked out well for me. I think part of it's only because I only own 1 of them. It's 2 colors and a black for an enchantment. You pump 2 black mon into it, and you give target creature Shadow till end of turn. Creatures with Shadow can only be blocked by creatures with Shadow, and may only block creatures with Shadow. Some people have likened it to flying. Actually, it's a little bit different to flying. It's more like the mechanics sometimes referred to as high flying, which is a flying creature that can only block creatures with flying. But, hey. I mean, it's interesting. It effectively makes a creature unblockable. I used to try to use the card. Never really worked out well for me. Don't know what to tell you on that one. The Armadans. I liked the Armadans. They're basically the endangered elephants of the Demiplane of Wrath. R-A-T-H, for those who want to know. Don't spell it like the word anger. The word that means anger. But yet fun little flavor text on them. It's almost like they want to emphasize a certain amount of sadness to them. You got the Trained Armadan, colors in double green for a 3/3. These are its last days. Better to grow broad and heavy. Better that the enemy is crushed beneath its carcass. Um, Endangered Armadan. 2 colors and double green for a 4/5. You control any creature with toughness 2 or less, sacrifice it. These are its last days. It's doomed to be remembered only until the hunters hunger again. Trumpeting Armadan, 3 colors and a green for a 3/3. Colors and a green, target creature blocks it this turn if able. These are its last days, but it will not go quietly. Crazed Armadan, 2 colors double green for a 3/3. Pump green, gets +3/+0 and trample till end of turn. At end of turn, destroy Crazed Armadan. Use this ability only once each turn. These are its last days. Mourning is over. Rage remains. So like that whole the whole I'm not going out quietly deal. I don't know, I kind of like it. Tempest was overall one of my favorite my favorite blocks overall. It's also one of the earliest. Ice Age was quasi into the block mechanic. Alliances was meant to be a direct sequel to it. You had Homelands come out between Ice Age and Alliances. So it was kind of weird, and then back during time, in the middle of Time Spiral block, they released Cold Snap, which booted Homelands out of the Ice Age block, moved Alliances to the middle, and Cold Snap became the third part of Ice Age block. So that's kind of weird. Then you had the first real block, which was Mirage, Mirage Visions Weatherlight. You had a lot of common themes running through it, but I'm not sure how much I can really call it cohesive. Visions really was, in just about every sense, a sequel to Mirage. Weatherlight, you didn't have a lot of flanking or phasing in Weatherlight. Weatherlight had a weird sub-theme of screwing with the graveyard. And because of this, it tended to be really different from the rest of Mirage block. So, is what it is. Tempest had a lot of themes running throughout it. It was just a great set. Some people complained that red and green were over-dominant in it. And yeah, red-green aggro was really strong at the time. You know. But if you look through it, there's a lot of cards in it, really fun cards that you can do all sorts of stuff with. Oh, look at that Whim of Volrath sitting right there. Didn't even notice that. Blue, buy back a 2 colorless. It's an instant. You change the text of target permanent by replacing all instances of one color or basic land type with another until end of turn. I always wanted to use Whim of Volrath and combine it with a color hoser card. The one that sits most in my mind is Raiding Party from Fallen Empires. I think I talked about that one at some point in the past. Basically, it's a red enchantment that can't be targeted by white spells or effects, if I recall correctly. And you sacrifice an orc to destroy all planes, and a player may tap a white creature to prevent up to 2 planes from being destroyed. And I always wanted to, just run that in well, not always once, but I wanted to do something with it. And these days it would be easier to do stuff with it. You could run it in red-blue changelings. Oh, that'd be just so fun. Yeah, I'm going to sacrifice this changeling because it's an orc. And before that goes off, actually it's I'm going to Whim of Volrath this, and I'm going to change all instances of plains to swamps. And then I'm going to sacrifice this changeling because it's an orc. I'm going to blow up every swamp on the board. You may tap white creatures to prevent them from being destroyed. You could do all sorts of fun stuff with that. Just really wacky. Anyway, it's kind of like mid-evening at this point, and I'm trying to get a hold of my mom so I can, take her out to dinner as a belated Mother's Day thing, because Mother's Day was this past Sunday. And, I love my mom. As much as I will talk crap about my mom, I do love my mom. But that's just part of how our family is, Sort of like, I remember my mom used to have this thing when she was, irked with us. She'd be like, hey, why don't you go perform an impossible task? And one day I just turned to her and responded with, make you thin? She didn't particularly like that one, but she's almost completely broken of using that phrase now. Ah, I'm a dick. But it's fun. But that's how it is in my family. We all rag on each other and make fun of each other and whatnot. It's what it is. That's okay. Alright, be good, fellas. Hopefully this video was more satisfying for my critics. Have a good evening, etc., etc. And if you didn't do something for your mom this Mother's Day, make up for it real damn soon. Alright? Laters.